Bernard Sanders, born September 8, 1941, is an American politician who has served as the junior United States Senator from Vermont since 2007 and as U.S. Representative for the state's at-large congressional district from 1991 to 2007. He is the longest-serving independent in U.S. congressional history. However, he has a close relationship with the Democratic Party, having caucused with House and Senate Democrats for most of his congressional career. Sanders unsuccessfully sought the Democratic Party nomination for President of the United States in 2016 and 2020, finishing in second place in both campaigns. Sanders' mother died when he was 18 and his father when he was 20. He got a few $1,000s of inheritance. And for $2,500, the summer after he graduated from the University of Chicago, he and his first wife bought 85 acres of meadow and woods in Middlesex, Vermont, an out-of-the-way plot that came with an old maple sugar house. With no electricity or running water, life in that ascetic, dirt-floor, shack-like structure didn't work out, and neither did his marriage. Toward the end of the 1960s and throughout the 70s, as he ran twice for governor and twice for the Senate as a member of the anti-war, left-wing, little but loud Liberty Union Party, Sanders worked sporadically as a carpenter and as a freelance writer, and eventually made and sold to schools film strips about primarily regional history. He was always poor, said his friend Sandy Baird. Sanders collected unemployment during one of his political campaigns, borrowed gas money for his battered beater of a VW Bug, and dangled extension cords to share electricity with a downstairs neighbour. He got evicted. He didn't seem to those around him to be too worried about it. Everyone has to make sure that they survive, so money was a concern, remembered Linda Needwesker, a nutritionist at the time, who got to know Sanders and later would become a political aide. But it was never an overriding goal. With the help of a savvy treasurer in accountant Jonathan Leopold, Sanders found an unexpected surplus of $1.9 million, which he used to pave roads without hiking taxes, putting out to bid the city's fuel and insurance contracts, instituting the first audit in nearly 30 years of the city's pension fund, and streamlining cooperation between departments. He saved hundreds of thousands of dollars. He upped fees for large development building permits. He raised taxes on commercial properties, which opponents, adverts saying Sanders does not believe in free enterprise, fell flat. Sanders, 77, has amassed an estimated $2.5 million fortune from real estate, investments, government pensions, and earnings from 3 books, including 2016 hit Our Revolution, A Future to Believe in. If you're enjoying this, please hit that like button and subscribe to our channel. Now, back to the video. Since his bid for the Democratic nomination raised his profile in 2016, Sanders has released a book a year. In all, he has pulled in at least $1.7 million from the series, starting with Our Revolution, 220,000 copies sold, according to industry tracker NPD Bookscan, and then Bernie Sanders' Guide to Political Revolution, 27,000. And finally, Where We Go From Here, 2 Years in the Resistance, 26,000. In addition to the books are his government pay and pension accounts. Sanders has collected a 6-figure annual salary since he joined Congress in 1991. Then there are his pensions, which are based on income and years of service. With 28 years in office and a current salary of $174,000, Sanders is entitled to around $73,000 a year from the federal government for the rest of his life. If he were to sell that guaranteed income stream for a lump sum pile of cash, Forbes figures he could get around $650,000 for it. Before he was elected to Congress, Sanders ran a small business producing film strips on New England history for schools and served as a mayor of Burlington, Vermont. From his time running Burlington, he gets another $428 a month from a city pension, which is worth roughly $50,000. As with many Americans, the bulk of Sanders' net worth is tied up in his home. Unlike most Americans, however, he owns 3. In Burlington, he keeps a 4-bedroom, 2.5-bath colonial that he purchased in 2009 for $405,000. Last year, after the hefty book profits started rolling in, Sanders paid off its 30-year mortgage 25 years early. In DC, Sanders owns a row house a short walk from the Capitol, which he bought in 2007 for $489,000. Forbes estimates he still has around $350,000 left on the mortgage there. His vacation pad, however, was paid for in cash. Sanders made headlines when he snapped up a Vermont summer home for $575,000 less than 2 months after ending the 2016 campaign built on lambasting the rich. Sanders chose a tranquil 4-bedroom, 3-bath home with 500 feet of shorefront access on Lake Champlain. His wife, Jane, told the Associated Press that the couple financed the deal with Bernie's book advance money, plus some of her retirement savings and proceeds from the sale of a cabin owned by her family. Sanders, in 2019, released a decade of tax returns that provided new insight into how he became a millionaire between his 2 presidential runs. According to returns provided by his campaign in April 2019, Sanders and wife Jane's bottom line jumped from $240,622 in 2015, the year he launched his first White House bid, to $1,073,333 a year later. As the once obscure lawmaker became a political sensation on the left and a best-selling author, with royalties pouring in. Since that first run, Sanders and his wife made a total of more than $2.79 million, putting them in the super-rich category. The records show Sanders' growing income and confirmed his status as a millionaire, mainly on the strength of proceeds from book sales, including the best-selling Where We Go From Here, published with Macmillan in 2018. Sanders reported a total 2018 family income of $566,421, $382,920 of which came from writing and royalties. The documents showed he paid $137,573 in federal taxes in 2018 and owed $8,267 in taxes for the year. The couple reported donating $18,950 to charity. Sanders last year made $110 in music royalties, presumably for his 1987 folk album, We Shall Overcome, and an additional $1,810 from his 1997 memoir, Outsider in the House, was published by Verso. He was paid an additional $391,000 for his books. Sanders had come under increasing pressure to make his tax disclosures as his primary rivals rolled out their returns. Critics, along with some allies, began to agitate for a complete public look inside the Sanders pocketbook. Bernie Sanders is often regarded as a liar and hypocrite in some quarters. For instance, Sanders voted for the 2001 authorization of use of military force that provided the legal justification for fighting the 9/11 terrorists and is still used as the legal justification for fighting the Islamic State today. He also voted for a 1999 resolution which provided then-President Clinton with the powers to conduct airstrikes in Kosovo. And Sanders had no problem supporting military funding when it meant helping grow the Vermont economy. He advocated bringing expensive F-35 fighter jets to Vermont, where they are now stationed at the Air National Guard base at Burlington International Airport. Naturally, when Sanders talks about his record on war, these positions are conspicuously absent. Perhaps the most significant example of Sanders' hypocrisy comes from his rhetoric on compromise. Sanders and his surrogates have been very vocal about refusing to compromise with Trump and other Republicans. His campaign has attacked Joe Biden and Hillary Clinton for their supposed willingness to compromise with Republicans. But what the Sanders campaign has left out is that he has been open to compromise with conservatives on a host of issues. He has said that Trump voters weren't racist or sexist, and he's said that Democrats shouldn't be basing their politics on colour. He's continually said that Democrats should go beyond identity politics. Sanders regularly preaches about the dangers of carbon dioxide as a critical driver of climate change, which he describes as the single greatest threat facing our planet. But by his own account and elitist preference, he flies around on private jets that produce far more carbon emissions than flying commercial. Not to mention, his 3 houses add up to a much higher carbon footprint than those of average citizens. On women, his 2020 campaign site lists women's rights as one of his top issues. Yet a quick review of his record reveals that Sanders is a passive enabler of the status quo at best and an outright fraud at worst. He not only failed to address allegations of sexual harassment by women who worked for him during his failed 2016 campaign, but Vermont is the only state in the nation that has never elected a woman to Congress. Instead, the Green Mountain State is represented by 3 septuagenarians. Sanders is 77, while Senator Patrick Leahy is 79, and Representative Peter Welsh is 71. In his 28 years of living off taxpayer dollars, Sanders has achieved very little beyond enriching himself. If Sanders cared about elevating women, he would resign his Senate seat and dedicate himself to the campaign. This would be a step toward giving women in his state a chance. Thanks for watching our video. Please hit that like button and subscribe to our channel.